CHGO White Sox Podcast, coming to you live from Studio A of our CHGO offices here in the West Loop of Chicago. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. You can follow me at Sean_W_Anderson. Alongside me, the full CHGO White Sox crew. That is Vinny Juber, our CHGO White Sox beat writer, who just posted an article today up at allchgo.com. So go check that out about Colson Montgomery, the return of Sergio Santos, and the great insight from Paul Yanish that Noah Schultz is quote-unquote huge.
He is.
He's huge.
6'9". It's so tall.
It's so huge. It's crazy because even if he wasn't a Major League Baseball player, everyone would just be fascinated by Noah Schultz, just going up and be like, "You're so tall."
I mean, I don't. Obviously, my professional life has been spent, covering sports. Outside of sports, are there people who are that tall, or if you're that tall, you're an athlete and that's it?
I think you have to at least make your high school team automatically.
Have you ever met a 6'9" person who just works at a bank or something like that?
My friend Jeremy Zuch, who now lives in California, is 6'8", and of course he's on our basketball team. But yes, he played college in Division III or NAIA, and I'm like, do you just walk around like that every day and just be tall and shit? It's weird. It's just a weird thing just to be 6'8" and not be a professional athlete, like you said.
Where do you just buy pants?
Okay, so real quick, good comment, Jim. Our sales guy, Jim, just said, I wonder if he has trouble finding jeans that are the appropriate length.
Same wavelength, buddy.
Hey,
Jim and Vinny.
Jim, why are you asking that question? I guess I shouldn't be asking someone off mic this question. Jim, why don't you just come and stand in front of the camera and show off your jeans, your ill-fitting jeans. The friend of Jeremy Zuch is Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
You can follow him at Ecknerwall23. Okay.
Stand right there.
Yeah, stand in front of him.
Do a little Captain Morgan on the table there.
The first 10 minutes, and I know this is what you come
Here we
into.
go.
So the first 10 minutes of my day was spent lambasting Jim Mathy here about the length of his jeans. He said he's worn them 6 times, that they were very expensive, and that he threw them in the dryer, and now that they're really...
We're doing a little too much. Hey.
It's a family show.
I don't mind it.
We don't need to be showing booty and all that.
Jim's jeans, he's wearing ankle socks. There's a weird, clear window to his ankle. I mean, there's about 3 to 4 inches between his sock and his jean. So Jim is 6 feet. Is that 3 to 4 inches?
Jim,
those are floods, buddy.
this is not a problem that is unique to Jim. When I started dating the woman who is now my wife, she pointed out that I was wearing not quite that bad, but similarly high rising jeans, and she had to run out and buy me all new jeans.
So Jim's only 6 feet tall, and he has the issue of hold on, we're talking about someone who's 6'9". Sorry. You're only 6 feet tall. Did you see what Marvin Bagley, who's 6'11", looked like next to Victor Wembanyama? He's 7'6". Some people are just taller. It's okay. But main point, Noah Schultz has a tough time finding jeans.
You already said me. I'm good. But George Wilco, too, or whatever his name is, the high schooler they drafted last year. Wilco is 6'7". They're getting a nice basketball team together. If they can't play baseball, Bulls might need me to ask for them to be on loan.
They need a team jean sponsor. Hit the thumbs up. Michael says the Jimster is styling. I don't know about that nickname, but hey, the Jimster it is. We're being produced today by Sarah.
Hi.
Hello. Hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you're subscribing. I know Jim, being brave, would love if you became a diehard. You can sign up at allchgo.com. You get that lovely box. You get a T-shirt of your choice. You get some stickers. You get a membership card. You get access to our CHGO Discord. Usually we have a mailbag Monday. We're not doing that today because Vinny's doing a little mailbag piece of his own. I didn't want to step on your boots.
Hey, if you have questions, throw them in that Discord. Throw them in the comments. Throw them on Twitter. Just make sure you tag me and let me alert me to your questions.
I liked Ian's question. It obviously we'll wait until it gets published, but Ian had a real good question. It's not even a baseball question. I like when people get loose with it. I mean, they want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, right.
But thanks everyone for hanging out with us. Thanks to Levante who says go White Sox. Great to see some White Sox hats in the Chiefs stands yesterday. Yeah, multiple. Not only in the Taylor Swift box, but just in the crowd. We're everywhere, folks. There's dozens of us. Make sure you're growing the community by subscribing today. We'll be talking about the reported contract that John Brebbia has signed with the White Sox. First, John Morosi had the report. Dale Van Schouwen added that Brebbia inked a one-year deal, and then Ken Rosenthal came in with some terms. So we'll break down that deal of relief pitcher John Brebbia reportedly, heavily report. Can we just say he's a White Sox?
No,
No,
it's
he's
not official
not.
because he probably hasn't taken the physical yet.
Right.
And the team has.
You said signed. I'm not even sure that that's the right verbiage. You maybe should have said agreed to terms.
Agreed to terms. Okay, that's fair. You're wearing the Mizzou Big J journalist sweatshirt. I'll listen to you here.
If I wasn't here, you could say he's on the White Sox as much as you want, but I'm here, so I'm going to enforce it.
I am not only getting 3 sources from Daryl.
Those
John
aren't your
Morosi.
sources.
No, I know.
Those are other people
right,
reporting.
Like what I'm saying is, like, those guys must have had like 6 sources. You need 2 sources to report on anything. You got 3 well-credited baseball reporters that aren't Bob Nightingale. I feel like we got to sign it.
Wow.
Did you see that piece?
Just
His Sunday piece? He left out all the good notes, all the fun part of his notebook, and then just wrote about Omar Vizquel. Ugh. Making up weird people who wouldn't vote for Tony Gwynn and Rod Carew, like, because of their exit velocities. Shut up, Bob. Anyways, I feel like John Brebbia is a White Sox. We can go with it. We're also going to be talking. I'm sorry to go off that rant. We'll also be talking about.
We need like a big asterisk graphic that we can throw on the screen whenever Sean says stuff like that.
Yeah, like it's always the people like who have the Twitter in their Twitter account. Like, these are only my thoughts, not of my employer. It's like, whose other thoughts are they? Your boss coming in through your Twitter account and like Kevin Kaduk stealing my phone and tweeting from my phone? Like, no. So, yeah, we're going to get to the John Brebbia talk. Sorry about C. Brebbia. They're not related, but it's a little fishy. We'll talk about the final 3 for the White Sox play-by-play gig, give a little update on that. And then there was a little report from Bruce Levine about Eloy Jimenez's trade market. So we'll give an update.
Or lack thereof.
Well, we wanted people to stay like, oh, maybe there's a trade market. We'll tell people that in the 40. You know, we're kind of
inverted pyramid, Sean. That's what they teach you at Mizzou. Come on now.
All right. John Brebbia is the base of this pyramid?
No, he's the top. Inverted pyramid, you want the meatiest facts at the front.
But is it if it's inverted?
The biggest news is at the top.
If it's inverted, isn't that still the base?
No, the base is at the bottom, Sean.
But it's inverted.
Right.
But how would that be? Never mind, Sean.
Because where would you? But like the
let's
base
talk about John Brebbia.
John Brebbia, according to Ken Rosenthal, has the terms of the contract. Brebbia will earn a $4 million base salary for 2024, and there's a $6 million mutual option for 2025 that includes a $1.5 million buyout. There's also up to $1 million in incentive bonuses for each season. Brebbia can start unlocking those bonuses if and when he hits the 45 appearance threshold. What do we thought? What do we thought? What do we think?
Well, the White Sox have needed guys in that bullpen, right? We've talked about it all offseason. They really haven't done a ton of work. They went out and got Tim Hill, but really other than that, Gregory Santos is kind of the lone man standing at the back end of the bullpen, and even he had some struggles at the end of last year. Now you've got a guy who's a little bit more of an experienced hand, a little bit more consistent with the success over the course of his career, although he did have a tough year last year. But here's a guy who's been successful. He's been called upon 2 years ago. He led the National League with 76 appearances. So you know he can go out there and be a workhorse type. And I think the main thing that jumps to mind, Sean, is John Brebbia sure did open a lot of baseball games for the San Francisco Giants over the last 2 years. You have been kind of going, will they all offseason long? Are they going to be a team that uses the opener with a little bit more frequency? And I think this acquisition, you can finally point to, maybe they are going to employ some different strategies that we've seen this White Sox team employ in the past. Certainly a guy who was with the Giants the last 3 years. Very obvious the influence of Brian Bannister here on this acquisition. Certainly his influence has been touted all year long by Chris Getz and, himself sometimes on Twitter when he jumps on Twitter. But this is a very obvious, hey, Brian Bannister had something to do with this. I think you look at his self-stated sweet spot of getting guys who have kind of veered away back on track. Last year, Brebbia misses 3 months with a lat injury. The ERA is a whole 1.5 higher than it had been the year prior. This guy really screams, hey, a little tweak here, a little fix there, and he could get back on track. So it's not the back end of the bullpen or the pitching staff in general that it was at the beginning of last season, where you could point to a lot of guys who, while they didn't end up having good years for the most part, you could point to them as established, reliable guys. But Brebbia is maybe one of the few guys who comes in with that type of pedigree, ERAs in the 3s and stuff like that over the course of his career. It's a good addition. It's notable, I think, that it's probably the second costliest addition that they've made this offseason after Eric Fetty. But yeah, it's a good addition. I think the most interesting thing is what role will we see this guy in? Is he going to be a setup man, a closer even if it doesn't go well for Gregory Santos, or is he going to be used as he had been in each of the last 2 seasons as an opener, double digit? I guess you want to call them opens. I'm not sure you should really call them starts. but opens, if you will, in each of the last 2 seasons. So I think it's a good addition from a talent standpoint, but a more interesting addition in that it might speak to a strategic shift from what we've seen in recent years.
In a vacuum, this move, awesome. Excellent addition to the bullpen. And from all the stuff that I've read, this guy's a cut-up. This guy is one of those people that, when you're talking about teams like, man, Brebbia's got the jokes. He's keeping everybody loose. He's one of everybody's favorite clubhouse people. That is an awesome move. But with the White Sox, I always got to think about, as Vinny said, this is the second most expensive player they signed this offseason. It's not that much money. But the White Sox have a budget, and they haven't really spent a lot of money this offseason, and they still have spots where they need to fix. Now, if this is taking some of that portion away from that budget, where they're not going to be able to go and get a right fielder, as we don't have a right fielder right now that you can depend on starting a majority of the games. Gavin Sheets, and of course, they have Oscar Colas. So that's what worries me. But the signing, the player, doesn't worry me except for the lat injury he had last year. Those are sometimes hard to get over. You saw Yoan Moncada have a whole year of trying to get over that. Hopefully, this whole offseason, he got a chance to just relax and get his body back to where he needs to. But Brebbia went from St. Louis, I believe, to San Francisco, specifically to work with Brian Bannister, and that's why he's coming back to Chicago. Of course, the money's good, too. The money's excellent for a reliever like him, and so he wouldn't be here unless the money was right. And then also Brian Bannister, because it seems like he speaks the praises of him. And as anybody, as you, Sean, I think you're a disciple too. This guy seems to be well thought of across the league, even with the pitchers of current day, and they want to go and pitch for him, kind of AKA like when the Cubs got Joe Madden, and people said, I want to go and play for Joe Madden because it's fun. It's a good time, and my career would further from that.
Yeah, I got more on Brian Bannister a little bit later. I'll focus more on Brebbia, the player, because there was a write-up on Birds on the Black back from 2020 by Zach Gifford on John Brebbia. Talks about his use of Edgertronics. And this was before he even went to St. Louis. And Edgertronics are cameras that basically, if you saw Brian Bannister posting on Twitter about Chris Sale's fastball, it's that very slow-motion camera that gives you a ton of shots of just how the ball rotates and comes out of your hands. So it's more about what grip is best to get the most vertical movement, get the most horizontal movement. So Brebbia was a believer in this type of technology before. Then the Giants, when he was going through Tommy John, spotted him as, well, he's a guy that uses this technology, and his slider is better than his fastball. He's throwing his slider less. They were a big proponent of let's throw your best pitch more. So he was a guy that believed in that philosophy ever since going over to San Francisco. He started to throw his slider more than his four-seam fastball. The issue, though, and I think it's a very interesting bonus for him, is the 45-inning thing. I did put on here, and I love taking a little victory lap. Who doesn't? Only valuable if he's able to get over 45 innings. Has only done that once since the pandemic, missed 2020 because of Tommy John surgery. You bring up the lat strain as well. You just look at the market, you're usually getting about, I think you're paying $9.5 million for one WAR. So Brebbia, in that year that he gave, 70-plus appearances?
76, yeah.
1.6 WAR. So if he's giving the innings, he's going to be a steal, right? And I think Brian Bannister knows that. I think Brian Bannister knows how to speak to this pitcher. He obviously knows the repertoire, and he was probably building on stuff because you could see the stuff from Brebbia change over his 3 years in San Francisco. You could see the vertical movement gaining each and every year, so he's able to throw it at the top of the zone. You see his slider being tweaked every single year. 2020 wasn't a great year, but he got 76 appearances, but the actual stuff was a lot better in 2023 and 2021. It's just, again, Brian Bannister seems to know what he wants, and from the pitching side, it seems like there's been great direction. And the more and more we see from the pitching side and the lack that we see from the hitting side makes me kind of worried because there's a lot of good stuff to like on the pitching side. Mm-hmm. Their best hitter that they signed is Martin Maldonado?
No. That they signed. No, I
would
say, I would say Paul DeYoung.
Nicky Lopez was a trade acquisition.
Yeah, I would say Paul DeYoung is the best hitter that they've signed.
I mean, they've signed 2 hitters.
Yeah.
Right, and none of them, and they're not even hitters. Is this going to give you a Corey Lee moment?
Oh, it hurts.
I mean, what? Yeah, Maldonado hit 15 home runs in 2 straight years. Has DeYoung hit that in the past 2 years?
No, but I would. If you're just saying hitter overall, I would put Paul DeYoung as a better hitter than what Martin Maldonado.
Paul DeYoung has a better chance to hit over 200.
Oh wow!
This year,
Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's the bar.
Yeah, that's
the bar
true.
is in hell.
The bar is the Mendoza line. Yeah, Jesus. Yeah. Paul DeYoung, 207, 157, 197 in his last 3 years. 19 homers, 6 homers, and 14 homers. So hey, I'll take what? 197 if it comes with 19 homers.
See, this is what I'm talking. Remember, I said this. I think their focus is on run prevention, not necessarily scoring runs, which that also helps. It's hand in hand. And they saw how many runs they gave up last year, and they're like, we need to be better there and be better than giving up runs than actually getting runs. And we'll fix that other stuff with a year of work, and not necessarily go out and break the bank on free agents. I think it's a bad move because there's some people out there still available, so they can still, salvage this offseason with some bats. But so far, we're in March. It's the 22nd of January. We're 23 days away from pitchers and catchers reporting. So, this is the pickings are getting slim.
They can salvage this offseason with some bats?
With some bats.
What are the some bats they're going to go get?
A right fielder that can actually hit. Like, I will take,
that's a bat, Herb.
Sean was talking about at the beginning of this offseason, and I kind of feel that way, that the name of Whit Merrifield kind of gave me, ugh. Now I'm like, Whit Merrifield, all right. That'll be all right. And then getting somebody who can play a more consistent second base. I like Nicky Lopez, but I don't think he's a great hitter. You need more hitting on this team, and right now, I think Dan Szymborski put out his future for the White Sox in 2024. It looks bad in 2024 as far as their WAR going along. And he put together the 3 backups at second base. I'm like, are those guys going to even hit over their weight? Not close. And so, yes, with 2 offseason signings with a right fielder and a marginal second baseman, I don't think it's going to be a great offseason, but I think it's going to be a salvaged offseason. Right now, all the best people are pitchers, which is good, but you're going to need some hitting in this league.
Yeah, you are going to need some hitting, and they haven't added much of it, if any of it, and really they seem to be focusing on the guys who are already there to create the bulk of any offensive improvement. I don't think they're going out. I mean, certainly not to this point, and we'll see who ends up maybe being the addition in right field, but to this point, the guys that they've brought in have detracted from what they were previously offensively, even though those guys like Tim Anderson, Yasmani Grandal, and really Elvis Andrus in the aggregate didn't have very good years last year. Nope. Certainly Tim Anderson had a horrible year last year. But I think I can speak for all 3 of us when I say we would expect Tim Anderson to have a better year than Paul DeYoung next year. We would expect, Andrus to be better than Lopez offensively maybe next year. Grandal is maybe a different case because he might not end up playing anywhere next year. But they haven't changed the third baseman. They haven't changed the left fielder. They haven't changed the first baseman or the DH. Well, the center fielder is very good. But my point being is that I think they think that they're going to, they hope certainly that those guys are going to be where the offensive improvement comes from, which guess what was the exact same thing we were talking about at this time a year ago. And with the exception of the center fielder, it did not work out that way.
Right. Well, and I mean, I guess the thinking too, again, is let's just not be as bad defensively. Let's not give up, 17 runs in the field. Let's just
but they didn't score. 10. But they didn't score any runs last year either.
I know. I'm not signing anybody. I wouldn't have signed the left fielder, and here we are. You want offense, and I didn't even say his name.
You don't have to. You don't have to.
I'll say John Brebbia's name. Brebbia career as a starter, 22 and 2/3 innings, 21 total starts, 1.59 ERA. Just very, very good. He's good against lefties and righties. Last year, 5 barrels given up to lefties, 5 given up to righties. As Jim mentioned, there's a lot of red on his StatCast Savant page. Good career expected batting average against 219 expected batting average. I mean, that's Paul DeYoung territory. League average is 245, so nearly 25 points lower than league average, and career 282 expected weighted on base average. MLB average is 315. Really nasty slider, but it hasn't been his best pitch since 2019, which is funny. Trying to do a little scouting from him ever since he's gone to San Francisco, and they're like, our philosophy is to throw your best pitch more. It's just made his fastball better and his slider a little bit worse. But whenever he gets 8 inches of movement away from a batter, horizontally, he's got a 2.7 run value on those 166 sliders. When he's just throwing a slider, 364 sliders with a negative 0.5 run value. So I do think Bannister's probably looking at it and I could probably get a little bit more out of him. Like you saw what he did in 2022. He probably felt like there's a little bit more meat left on this bone for John Brebbia. So I'm excited for this signing just because, again, let's see what Bannister can do. Let's look at the projected bullpen because how is Brebbia going to fit into it? Also, if they are going to be using openers, is he really going to be a setup role? I think whenever you have just a tough matchup, again, if the Giants had the Padres coming up and Juan Soto, Fernando Tatis, Manny Machado opening, John Brebbia, right? Like he's been trusted in a lot of big moments, so I get that's maybe the knee jerk to put him as a setup guy. But I think there's a lot of guys who could open. I mean, John Brebbia could open. Jimmy Lambert is a former starter. I think that Lambert, especially with maybe a team that hits high fastballs poorly, maybe you throw Lambert in as an opener. Tim Hill hasn't opened in his career, but if you have a lefty-heavy 1-2-3, he gives up career a 606 OPS against lefties. So, again, if you see 2 lefties coming up, I'm trying to think of teams.
With a bunch of lefties?
I don't know.
I mean, it's not the Guardians. They have a bunch of switch hitters, so.
Maybe Tim Hill could be used. Tuki Toussaint, obviously a former starter. It seems like he won't be in the starting 5, but maybe they sprinkle in some starts. I'm thinking Sean Manaea. Sean Manaea had an interesting role with the Giants last year. He wasn't really a starter, wasn't really a reliever. He was just a pitcher. Maybe Toussaint's in that same way. And then, it doesn't seem like Crochet's going to be in the team, right? It seems like Crochet will likely be a starter in the minor leagues. So does that mean Jesse Schultens comes up? And we know that Schultens has had a lot of experience as a starter as well. So I think there's going to be options for openers for the White Sox.
Well, I mean, I think now really White Sox fans have not really had to worry about what that looks like. And I almost feel like it's worth talking about, forget the specific names, let's talk about what the strategy of an opener is, right? And because I was thinking back about it, and, I remember when this got going with the Rays doing this a whole bunch, and I remember somebody asking Rick Renneria about it and him saying, not really my style, we're not going to do it very much. Tony La Russa was very committed to having that classic 5-man rotation. And then last year, Pedro Grifol steps in, and while I'm not quite sure about what his thoughts on the strategy is, he started the year at least with a pretty well set 5-man rotation. That's what he was handed. That's what he went with. An opener, correct me if I'm wrong, please. An opener does not preclude you from having the classic starting pitcher.
Correct.
He just starts in the 2nd or 3rd inning instead of the 1st.
Correct.
Right? So a guy like Tuki Toussaint, a guy like Jesse Schultens, to me, they can go out and throw 4 or 5 innings in the middle of the game. They wouldn't necessarily maybe be the opener as much as they would be the guy who follows the opener. And maybe, as you've been thinking about, I was about to try to say hypothesizing, which I got right there, but I wasn't confident in the first time. Maybe the idea of a rotation, it just gets blown up right now, right? And so, yeah, they got Michael Kopech, maybe, who they want to go make a regular starting pitcher. Maybe they want to make him that, although there's probably benefits to having him be a middle-of-the-game guy too. But let's just pick him as an example. Certainly Dylan Cease. They wouldn't throw off his success rate of starting in the 1st inning and maybe going 7. But the idea that you would maybe have 2 or 3 spots in a rotation that are dedicated to an opener and an innings guy instead of your classic starting pitcher. Maybe that is what the White Sox are stepping into. We keep hearing the phrase starting pitching innings from Chris Getz, right? Maybe that means innings 3 through 7 instead of starting at the beginning. Sean, I know this is your thing a little bit more than it is mine. If you want to kind of look at just what is the benefit of using an opener and putting an innings guy after.
That's a great question, Vinny. Well, first off, too, like an opener can be a John Brebbia where it's, hey, we got a ton of tough righties. Let's go up and just throw them a ton of sliders, like your best sliders. Let's just give them a really difficult at bat their first time up. But also an opener can be, Jesse Schultens can give us 3 really great innings, right? So let's start off the game with 3 great innings. Toussaint starts to wear after 55 pitches, so we'll have him start with 55 pitches, and he'll open that way, but knowing we're going to be using the bulk of our bullpen in this game. But even then, you look at Dylan Cease, OPS by inning, 730, 692, 721, 643, 697. So through 5 innings, his worst inning is the first. Mm-hmm. So if you have the Yankees, and there's, Soto, Judge, and who's a third Yankee? Stanton, I guess. Even though Brian Cashman's tossing him.
What's that guy? The guy from the Dodgers who went to Boston. He's there also.
Verdugo.
Yeah.
LeMahieu sure. Maybe makes more sense up there, right?
Rizzo or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, he's on the Yankees still. Derek Jeter.
Anyways, you take away that tough matchup, that 1-2-3 from Dylan Cease, and say, you're starting the second and you can go finish the game, right? We'll just take away the hardest matchup. And even though it will be, you'll still face those guys like in the 5th inning or 4th inning, whatever, when Judge comes back around. That's the first time Judge is seeing you all day. So if you can get Judge out and have him 0 for 2 to start the game, again, you're going into the 5th inning, hopefully with, again, just preventing runs. So, and the Kopech thing, I don't really, you were like, yeah, exactly.
I'm 100% on that.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Why are we so afraid on a team that's not trying to let this guy be a starting pitcher? He has starting pitching stuff. He's thrown over 120 innings. He's 27 years old. He looks like a horse. He should be a starter. Go and let him throw 30 starts because it doesn't matter.
But
Gavin Sheets is your right fielder.
But it doesn't matter if he starts or replaces the opener. He's getting that work. If what's his worst inning? Isn't it the first inning where he's always struggling, especially last year? Imagine him coming in versus the 5, 6, 7 instead of the 1, 2, 3, and just doing a little bit better. You tell anybody who speaks to a Major League Baseball hitter, the hardest part is about facing different pitchers. And imagine you start the game off with a John Brebbia who's sliding you to death, and then you get 98 up top.
Okay,
from Michael Kopech. I think you
can
still have all the innings you want for Michael Kopech, but put him in a different thing. I don't think you're going to get Dylan Cease to agree to be part of this opener thing, but you can have all the rest of the people in the rotation be like, hey, man, you might be subject to an opener if we feels like that.
Yeah, I just use Cease as an option. I mean, we know that Cease is probably going to, not really give you 9, but hey, maybe he gives you 8 if you get rid of the first tough 3 matchups. But Kopech, throughout his career, the only inning he's really done well in is the first. 660 OPS, then it goes to 773, 761, 652 in the 4th. So apparently he likes facing the top of the order. So I don't know. I wouldn't
check 2023. I'm telling you, 2023.
I know this is his career, so there's a little bit more of a sample.
I understand, but that he is the pitcher that he is now, not the whole. That includes all of his 2021, the good year, and like 2022 was kind of off a little bit. So I'm telling you, that first inning, you might think about having him be a part of the opener thing and then let him ease into a game a little bit differently. And he's used to coming out of the bullpen from his time briefly that he did in 2021.
So, I get it. Because, yes, he had an 860 OPS in the first inning, and then it was 721, and then it was 686 from the second to the third. But the batting average is, again, we're looking at Paul DeYoung and Martin Maldonado numbers. We're looking at Corey Lee's career. First inning, 196 batting average. Second inning, 179 batting average. Third inning, 220 batting average. Hey, if this kid just doesn't throw 24 walks, 20 walks, 11 walks, maybe. But the whole point of the offseason is to hone in the control issues. So let's see if he's honed in those control issues. I get your point. I know. I get your point.
He's not above being part of the opener thing. His career so far, yeah.
You got to see what he's doing. Let's take a break real quick, and then we'll reconvene because this could obviously be a topic we spread our legs out on. We want to let you know about our friends over at Circa Sportsbook. There's a ton to be betting on. There's NBA tonight. There's NHL tonight. You got the championship rounds of the NFL on Sunday. You got the Lions taking on the Niners. You got the Chiefs taking on the Ravens. The best thing about Circa Sportsbook is their tight money line splits. Games will strive to be a -110 split on the Circa Sports menu, unlike other sportsbooks, which may use a -115 or -120 split. Circa encourage bettors to download and explore all sports betting apps available. You're supposed to compare the lines from each sportsbook, and you'll see, because they are the world's largest sportsbook, that Circa usually has the best lines to bet on, and they don't limit winners. So every player has the same limits, unlike other books who do limit winning players. So if you are hot and you are taking those, tight money line splits, Circa is the place to bet. And if you have an issue, there are real people behind the Circa Sports brand who resolve issue in a timely fashion, unlike other books who use chat bots. So download the Circa Sports Illinois app at circasports.com/Illinois-app. That's circasports.com/Illinois-app to sign up today. Also be on the lookout for Circa events, watch parties, and tailgates. If you or someone you know may have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537, text GMB 833-234, or visit areyourreallywinning.com. I didn't feel like I read that phone number right, but it is 833-234. So thank you to my brain. Herb, you ever use Game Time?
All the damn time, Sean. And you shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets for your next big event. Game Time is fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. As Sean has alluded to, I have used Game Time multiple times, even down in Atlanta, go down there to Truist Park to see a game. I found a nice deal, and I wanted to test Game Time's guarantee. I did. I looked at all the secondary ticketing markets. Only one had a better deal than in the row and section that I was in. Sent this information to Game Time within 12 minutes, got 110% of the difference of that price. So Game Time always gives you peace of mind to know that you're getting the best deal available, and that extra 10% too. Last minute deals, flash deals, zone deals, Game Time makes it easy to find, buy tickets in every kind of event that you're looking for. And as I said, you see the seats before you go to the game, so you know exactly where you're going to sit when you arrive. All-in prices, which I love, gives you the total up front, so you know you're getting a great deal without the hidden fees. You can buy your tickets within 2 taps of the app. They're obsessed with finding ways of helping you save money on tickets. Game Day has deals right up to the minute of the event, and then even after an hour after the event starts, it's the place to go for last-minute seats. And as I said, Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. What you must do right now, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed.
Thanks, Herb. I don't know if C. Brebbia is still watching. I know they said they're not related to John Brebbia, but if they happen to be and are still watching, there are pictures of John Brebbia without his beard, and then there are photos with John Brebbia and his beard. If you could send him the message to keep the beard, it'd be great. It's a really wild man beard. It's orange. It's fun.
You're not saying he's an ugly-looking guy.
No, but we're going to show some photos before, because I feel like this is going to divulge into a Brian Bannister discussion in a second. We got some graphics that... I'm sorry. We had some graphics. It's okay.
I have pitching stuff.
You do?
The analytic stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I thought you meant you wanted a photo of his face.
No, you're all good.
I didn't do that.
I think there are photos of his face on these. Yeah. See?
Yeah.
Sarah gave me the look that no producer ever wants to give anyone. Just like,
my God,
we don't have that asset. All right.
We've been there.
So, God, all the times that we've been there. Okay. So these are the pitches that John Brebbia gave homers up on. And as you can see, John Brebbia, when he makes a mistake to a major league hitter, they get tagged. The one con of Brebbia coming from San Francisco to the White Sox is the park. Brebbia isn't, what's it called? Immune to park factors. Okay. Like no pitcher is. 41 expected home runs in his career if he pitched at Guaranteed Rate Field. 24 if he pitched at Oracle Park. He hasn't obviously pitched at Oracle Park his entire career, but that is a very favorable pitcher's park. Mm-hmm. If Brebbia is making more mistakes, you will likely see an increase of home runs. But he is, like, truly the only concern that I have is, will he hit that appearance mark? Will he hit 45 innings or 45 appearances? Because he is average to above average. When he's healthy, he can hit his spots. He gave up 10 barrels. 9 of them were off sliders that just kind of hung on hitters' counts, 0-0, 2-0, 1-0. Sometimes when you throw an 0-0 slider to Juan Soto, he hits it for a homer. Oh, well. The only time he gave up a barrel on his fastball was a 0-1 count to Brendan Rodgers that was at the top of the zone and inside.
In Colorado?
And he just, inside outed it to the wall.
Doesn't count.
It was just it doesn't count, and it's also a really good piece of hitting. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. Like this Brebbia signing, again, if he hits the innings, this could be a really good signing. This could be a guy that could also get flipped, too, at the deadline if he is really good on a bad White Sox team. So this is his fastball where he got whiffs. Again, if he's throwing it up in the zone, he's going to get whiffs. And as long as Brian Bannister can coach him on being consistent, and Ethan Katz can coach him on being consistent and hitting those marks and making sure that he's consistent with his mechanics, he should be all right. And if we could show the next one on sliders, again, when he's getting it to move away from batters, when he's getting it down and away to righties, he's getting swings and misses. The Giants noticed that this was Brebbia's best pitch. He's increased this from 45% usage to 54% usage over the past 3 years. This really just looks like a true modern-day reliever. So, hey,
Poop
I'll
emoji. That's what I see in the Rorschach test.
A little bit. Yeah. So let's talk about Brian Bannister a little bit. Was there more that we wanted to go in on Kopech? I know I cut you off for an ad break there.
Kopech, not really. No, I mean, I think the opening thing is very interesting, and like I said, you've been talking about it all winter. Now here's a guy who's done it that they're bringing in, which kind of adds more to that idea. To me, and could very well be wrong, let's bring Kevin Cash here and he can tell me how wrong I am. But, to me, you use an opener when you don't have a good starting pitcher to put there, right? And, I mean, you just brought up the example of, maybe they'd be better off, or maybe Cease would be better off if he was thrown into that strategy. Yeah. And so that would be an example of me being incorrect, perhaps. But we've been talking all winter of all the question marks with these White Sox starting pitching candidates. What if they show up to spring training and most of them aren't good, or most of them don't show what they want to show during spring training? Does the opener strategy become interesting because that's the way that it should be done regardless of what your rotation looks like? Or is the opener strategy interesting because, we don't have really a lot of starting pitchers we can trust to go out there and throw 6 innings, so why don't we just kind of do something completely different and see if that's a better way to get those 18 outs?
Right. A better way to manage Soroka, have an opener, right? Let's just make sure you're getting the 4 best innings you can give us rather than trying to give us 6 innings and working you too thin. Chris Flexen's a guy that has come out of the bullpen and starter position before. So, again, that makes sense. Herb, you're right. The more I think about it, I mean, it's more likely that, I don't know why I really brought up Cease. But, maybe there is a tough, matchup. I don't know. Again, maybe I'm just thinking of Judge. But it's likely that Kopech's going to be using an opener more than Cease or Fetty. It does seem like Cease and Fetty will be the starters of the rotation, and then we'll see what happens with Kopech and Flexen and Soroka through spring training. I think if Kopech looks really good and he's got that fastball and slider honed in and they're getting the right movement and he's hitting his spots, I think he can just be a true starter. But those other two, and hey, maybe we even see a 6-man rotation. Maybe part of this is Kopech getting more rest rather than, less, I guess, innings.
The thing I kind of was frustrated with the Kenny and Rick whole regime is that they didn't try more things, knowing that their budget is of a certain length and knowing that they had pretty much good job security. They both kept their jobs for over 20 years. Is they didn't try things. They didn't try different new things where they can just catch a wave where other people are doing, 5 starters. we can do the opener thing. Or when they did do that one thing where it was very innovative, Project Birmingham. I loved that. It was just something.
That was Chris Getz.
See, there you go. Innovative thinking where you're like doing something different than everybody else is doing, and maybe they catch on a little later on. But at least you're doing the thing, and you're starting off with something because you don't, as Vinny says, don't have the starters to necessarily have a 5-man rotation that you're confident in. So I'm in for anything that the White Sox can do, especially this year, where they're just experimenting things, where they're just trying out new things because they're not going to be good. And they might also be better, and they might compete for the AL Central by doing these things because they're zigging while everybody's zagging. That's what they should be doing. They should be doing different since they're not going to be at the top of the free agent markets, and since they haven't necessarily developed talent in these last couple of years, and there's stuff still coming down the pipeline, they should be doing this, and this should be a filtered thing all the way down. You probably couldn't do the opener thing last year. Lucas probably wasn't down for it. Damn sure Lance Lynn wasn't down for it. So you probably could have that.
But in the ideal way that those guys were performing, you wouldn't need to do that.
No.
Right?
No.
I mean, that's my
starters.
thing.
Yeah.
That's my thing is give me, again, obviously I know this is not possible, but I'm just saying give me 5 Justin Verlanders to trot out there every single day, right? I guess my ignorance might be where if you had 5 great starting pitchers, is there a reason to use the opener at all?
You wouldn't do it.
Or is there?
No, I think there is. I mean, again,
right.
if you want to play a matchup, again, if you have a ton of power coming up and you have 3 right-handers, right, you might just want to play with a guy that's going to throw sliders low and away and just make it difficult to negate power. You might just play it based off matchups. I think that was the real reason why the Rays did it, was for platoon reasons. And again, just to make it, make their starting pitchers more efficient, right? We're going to use you against in the 4 innings that we think you'll be best in.
But think about
shouldn't they be going 7 and facing all those guys anyway?
Why?
What do you mean why? They're good. Ideally, they're good, right? I mean, that's what I'm saying is you're describing then, if you're only going to throw your starter 4 innings, you're describing a starter that's not as good as he should be.
They're doing different things, I think.
But that's what I'm saying. It's I'm open to I'm open to hear the reasoning as to why that works. It's something that never really clicked with me from a strategic standpoint, other than,
I think it's
then
more
we don't trust this guy to get those outs. We trust that guy to get them more.
Strategy of the platoon and then the matchups, but then also possibly the way to last 162.
Sure.
Right? And you guys need buy-in. As I said, these baseball players are creatures of habit. They've been thinking that I need a role, established role. I'm a starter. I pitch every 5th day. I'm a reliever. I'm ready to go anytime you're ready. So you need these guys to have buy-in. So you need to go to camp and say, hey, guys, sometimes we're going to have an opener with you. And some people if you're not bought in to the idea that you're coming off the bench and you're going to be relieving the opener, then the results might vary. But if everybody's bought in and you have a guy like John Brebbia that's going to say to the rest of the people, hey, guys, I know it's unorthodox, but as a person that was in St. Louis and had the traditional way of playing, when I went to San Francisco, it opened up my eyes. You just have to buy in. That's what they have to sell to these pitchers if they're going to be doing these type of unorthodox things where they're not used to it.
I don't know if they have that many egos on this team. I mean,
certainly many of them have been traded away.
Yeah, I mean, Fetty had to go over to the KBO to get some shine. Kopech hasn't been a real pitcher in his career, and there is some trust, hopefully, previously with Bannister from the Red Sox days. Soroka has just been traded from his main team, and it seems like, again, he just can't stop running into injuries, so he'll probably listen to whatever will work. And Flexen, this is his 3rd team in 3 years. So, I mean, again, what...
Just 3rd team in 2 years.
3rd team in 2 years. Thank you, Vinny. Makes my point even better. I just don't know who's going to, puffy chest you and be like, oh, I'm not buying in.
Well, and that might explain a lot of these acquisitions. A lot of folks have been scratching their heads over, well, why this guy? What makes this guy a guy that you would invest money in or invest a roster spot in? And, there are other reasons, too. We talk about the decrease in the salary, or in the payroll, rather. We talk about the fact that they might be eyeing years down the road as the years when they're going to contend, but this might play into it. And this signing that we're talking about today is probably the one that screams it the loudest. Maybe there is Sean, as you just ran through the guys that they brought into this pitching staff, maybe there's a reason that they went out and got those guys specifically, and it was because they aligned with what they're trying to get done.
It aligns with Brian Bannister and Herb. You talk about buy-in. I'm going to need you to buy in real quick, okay? No. I don't need your phone. This isn't an ad read just yet.
Go ahead.
This is why I'm convinced Brian Bannister was the most important offseason signing in the past 3 years for the Chicago White Sox.
He technically joined the organization during the regular season last year.
You're out.
This is the most important acquisition over the past 3 years for the White Sox. Herb, former Giants manager, current assistant general manager of the Miami Marlins, Gabe Kapler, recently started a TikTok account. I cannot play the exact TikTok because it has Rick Ross's hustling in the background. Could you do the every day I'm hustling as I read this?
I mean, won't we still get sued? And it's still good?
That's from the Kia hamsters. That's their song, right?
I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know. Is it?
Yes, they wrote that one. Go ahead.
He recently shared this wisdom. If you're ready. 3,
I'm ready. Go ahead.
2, 1. If you're trying to decide whether you're going to walk somewhere or Uber or drive, and Google Maps says it's going to take you 10 minutes via car, it's probably right. But if it tells you it's going to take 15 or 17 minutes to walk that same distance, it could be wrong. All you have to do is walk fast, and maybe you're cutting it down by 3, 4 minutes. So don't let that make you get in the car. Just walk faster. This is the man that led the Giants to 107 wins. No, he's not. Managers don't matter. I know people are worried about Pedro Grifol. You could put a Kia hamster as a manager. Brian Bannister is the reason the White Sox will win games. Probably not in 2024, but I think in 2025 because they'll probably start spending on some platoon bats if they know who to platoon, whether it's Eloy, Vaughn, Moncada, etc.
Yeah,
thanks for doing it.
He is a weird guy. I mean, his whole career, I remember him being a big-time workout guy. Then he went to the Phillies as a manager, kind of fizzled out there. Dodgers time was here or there, kind of bad. But I thought his Giants time, they bought in, and maybe the 107's not because of him, but he was part of it. And I know that he's now not necessarily a well-thought-about guy, but I'm sure he had a lot of influence there with the San Francisco Giants.
I mean, hey, you gotta bump up. He's in a front office now.
Yeah, people that have long loved his mind. They think his baseball mind is above most, especially people who have played.
Right. Again, I don't know if I believe that because of that TikTok that I watched in his wisdom.
And then transcribed.
Yes. Oh, it was very easy to transcribe. He used like 6 words. You could also just drive faster. I guess that's against the law.
I'll say this. I smashed that Google Maps estimated walking time a lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. You're in the Gabe Kapler.
Whereas the drive time is usually exact.
I do the opposite.
I kind of entirely agree with what Gabe Kapler said. Now, would I put it in a TikTok video? Probably not. But
it's been deleted since?
What? Oh, because people were making fun of it? Yeah. No, that's just sad now. I'm sorry.
Hey, man, I don't know. Put out your thoughts and let it be. It's not embarrassing. If you got a little cringe, who cares?
I mean, your thoughts. He's not wrong. It's just how serious he was saying it, the hat he was wearing, the fact that he was walking, the fact that he had the Rick Ross song.
The way you read it too made me think like it was a real deep thoughts with Jack Handy type situation.
It was. It's a little bit more stern, I guess. It's a little bit more. It's delivered tougher, I guess.
Gotcha.
Get your ass out, walks. Don't drive.
But yeah, the biggest thing, I think Brian Bannister is going to redeem the pitching. We'll take a break in just a second. The issue is, and still is, who's going to play right field? Who's going to hit for this team? The 2021 Giants against right-handed pitching, a 776 OPS versus left-handed 752 as a team. 2023 White Sox versus right-handed pitching, 669 versus left-handed pitching, 695. So it'd just be helpful if the team would bat over 700, and that's not Brian Bannister's gig.
And 700 is not even like over average.
No.
So you're not asking for the world. You're asking for slightly below average.
I'm not asking for the world here, but I'm going to need you guys to lend your voices as we're going to tell people about our friends over at Empire. 588-2300 Empire. With Empire Today, you get shop at home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a low price guarantee. Empire Today is the best place to get new flooring, so of course they have copycats, but Empire can't be beaten on their quality, service, and speed. So competitors advertise low-quality products that Empire simply won't carry. Empire won't promise the lowest prices because anyone who does is putting floorings in your home that they wouldn't put in theirs. Empire keeps shopping for floors simple with a curated product selection. Their philosophy is to help you find what you need, not overwhelm you with thousands of choices and substitutes. What they leave out of their selection is just as important as what they put in. Empire's product team exhaustively combs through thousands of product samples each year to find the perfect styles for you. And you can check out those styles with their virtual floor designer. It's a great way to see how new floors will look in any space. It's easy. Just snap a picture and instantly see how new floors will look in your room. So schedule a free in-home estimate today with the experts over at Empire. All listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use promo code CHGO. Restrictions apply. See EmpireToday.com/CHGO for details. Again, all listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use promo code CHGO over at EmpireToday.com/CHGO.
Hey, you. Yes, you who is not driving their car, head on over to Midtown.com/CHGO so you can follow along with me, see the beautiful pictures that these people have. And then eventually go and visit one of the Midtown Chicagoland locations nearest you because they have 4 of them. One in Palatine in the northwest suburbs, Bannockburn in the North Shore, Willowbrook in the southwest suburbs, and Midtown Athletic Club and Hotel in the middle of Bucktown and Lincoln Park. The Midtown Palatine has launched a multi-million-dollar transformation of the club, which will be complete in early 2024. And Midtown is offering no initiation fees this January. You only have a couple more days at their Bannockburn, Palatine, and Willowbrook locations, so hurry up and get there now because there's something for everyone. Whether you're a married person, a single person, somebody looking for holistic wellness, or looking to make a lifestyle change, because Midtown Chicago is the nicest fitness club that they've ever been to and I've ever been to because of the super luxe locker rooms, wet and dry saunas, and their premium amenities. Amazing outdoor and indoor pools and hot tubs, a collection of boutique fitness studios with more than 100 classes per week included in your membership. And this isn't gym quality. These spaces are boutique quality. You have the arena, Samadhi, Everybody Fights, Ride, the Field, and the theater as their studios that you can work out in. I like the theater because you get some group exercise. But Midtown has the best tennis courts and programming in the sport. Midtown has indoor and outdoor tennis, pickleball, and paddleball tennis. USTA professional quality all the way. You're already there at Midtown.com/CHGO. If you're driving, make a mental note for yourself to go there after you stop driving. Midtown.com/CHGO and find out more and tour the Midtown Athletic Club nearest you. And this Thursday, we are broadcasting live from the Bannockburn. Well, not us, but the CHGO Bears and the CHGO Weekly Show is broadcasting live from the Bannockburn Club. So you can get in gratis for the price of on the house. So go there to Midtown Bannockburn on Thursday to see us broadcast live.
Thanks, Herb. All right, so we got 2 more topics, a little Eloy Jimenez trade update. But first, let's go to the Sun-Times. Jeff Agris posted this piece on the 20th, so 2 days ago, about the final candidates for the White Sox TV job. Jeff Agris writes that the final candidates are radio voice for the Red Sox, Will Fleming, ESPN 1000's Connor McKnight, and ESPN TV's John Schifrin.
Mm-hmm.
Is it?
Yeah, you guys are right.
Schifrin.
You got it right.
Okay. All right. Mike Monaco, who initially was the favorite for the job, removed himself from consideration because of scheduling conflicts with ESPN. He signed a 3-year extension with the network late last year, and as Greg Boyson pointed out, he's the voice of hockey on ESPN, so it would coincide with the Stanley Cup playoffs, the White Sox season, so it makes sense why Monaco dropped out. Agris continues to write that Fleming is the most experienced of the 3, having called Red Sox games since 2019, also was with AAA Pawtucket Red Sox for 4 years. Fleming has contributed to ESPN and CBS, and his brother Dave is a broadcaster for the Giants and ESPN. Schifrin joined ESPN in 2020 to call KBO games. He doesn't have a lot of experience calling MLB games. He's mostly called college sports on ESPN in addition to the G League and Summer League game. And then finally, Connor McKnight has been a regular fill-in on Sox radio broadcasts, but has a few telecasts under his belt. Has most notably been the Sox pregame and postgame host since joining ESPN 1000 in 2021. Before that, he coasted middays on The Score. Herb.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on those final 3?
I mean, of course, I'm biased for Connor McKnight because I've spent time with him at The Score, And I think that he's ready for this responsibility, especially it seems like what the White Sox want in a play-by-play guy, where they want exclusivity. You're the White Sox guy. You're not going out to do NFL games, college basketball games, hockey games, as Mike Monaco does. Just be right there. And that's what Connor's job is, pre- and post guy for ESPN 1000. And so he'll be ready to do that job. Now, the other two names actually have more experience than Connor, but I don't think they have what Chicago wants necessarily, which is a provincial, a person that is a fan necessarily of the team. So these guys are outsiders. You just be bringing them in as the next guy who is kind of a star, as they did with Jason Benetti, but Benetti was an actual fan of the team. I don't think that necessarily matters in the grand scheme, but for White Sox fans, sometimes it does. Like Hawk, you could tell he was a homer the whole time. Homer felt that way every broadcast. And now Jason Benetti necessarily wasn't a homer, but his broadcasts were great. And I would expect that Brooks Boyer and the people who are going to be doing the hiring want a person that is in between what Benetti was and what Hawk were. A homer sometimes, but also has a professional broadcasting background behind them. Yeah, I'm a Connor McKnight guy, so I don't know anything about the other two guys. If Connor doesn't get the job from me, you've already failed with getting Jason Benetti out of here. I would like the guy that is a true blue Chicago guy in there, and Connor McKnight.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it plays out. I mean, I can't say I'm familiar with the work of the other two guys. I know Connor. He's a great guy. We'll see how it plays out. Certainly, I would imagine that White Sox fans, regardless of who gets this job, are going to warm to whoever this person is, because they will be given a chance to be there for the long haul and to be there, like you said, Herb, kind of every single day. And I think that is, the commitment to the White Sox is what the White Sox want, and I think the White Sox fans will appreciate that after a while, too. Certainly Steve Stone is a guy who, with all his expertise, is going to make that broadcast a good one, regardless of who that is sitting next to him every night.
Yeah, I would root for Connor to get the job. Obviously, again, I previously worked with him very shortly. And it would be cool to see a score search winner be the White Sox broadcaster. I can't lie about that.
Good.
I think Will Fleming gets the job. He seems to be the most ready to take it. Schifrin doesn't really seem. I can't even find him on Google. Like, I mean, I get like I literally had to type his name. It's not even that unique. Like 3 different times to try to find him. So I don't know about that option. I don't know if I love any of these options. Also, to be fair, kind of just miss Jason Benetti. I mean that's the whole thing. It's a real bad reason why they're replacing Jason Benetti.
You got the pinnacle, and you're like, nah, I'm out. I mean, the man was willing to stay here and be the voice of the White Sox while also getting his profile on a national stage built up. Man, it's so tough to not have Jason Benetti, but and he's such a sweet, unassuming guy too. Love Jason Benetti.
Connor's a sweet guy too.
Oh.
But I don't even know. None of these guys are like TV guys. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, Connor's been doing radio mostly. Fleming's been doing radio mostly. Schifrin really hasn't even done major league games, radio or TV.
That should make the job much easier. If they're radio guys, they have experience of telling the story, and hopefully they understand that TV, you don't need to tell a story as much because people have vision. They can see what's going on and lay back from some of the highlights you need to lay back, instead of when radio, you need to explain everything that's going on because people are counting on you to show them what's going on.
We'll see. Let's take our final break, and then we'll just update you on Eloy Jimenez. Want to let you know about our friends at ComEd. Vinny, it's getting easier for businesses to switch to electric vehicles. That's something we can all get behind for the health of the planet and for the well-being of all of us who share it.
It's a great point, Sean. The electric grid is evolving to meet your cleaner energy needs as we all move with confidence toward an electric tomorrow. Whether you have one delivery van or a whole fleet of shipping trucks, ComEd can help guide you to make the changes that make sense.
Vinny, what should business owners do?
That's a great question, Sean. They should go to ComEd.com/clean to learn more about the resources, fleet rebates, and infrastructure incentives available to help businesses go electric. If you, yes, you, own a business, don't wait. Start making your plan today to switch to electric vehicles. They are good for business, good for the planet, good for all of us. Go to ComEd.com/clean.
I had 6 words in my line, and I couldn't even get them right. Did you say ComEd.com/clean?
Indeed, I did. Go now and see how going electric connects us to a better way of doing business and a better future for generations to come.
Also want to let you know about our friends at Ray CDJR. Are you in the market for a new vehicle? If you are, then we have some great news for you. Our partner Ray, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram in Fox Lake is starting their Ray Resolution with the Start Something New sales event. And do you know what that means? You'll be able to shop incredible savings on every new vehicle in stock because they want to clear the lot to make room for brand new 2024 vehicles. For a limited time, get up to $9,000 off a new Jeep with dealer discount. And that's not all. Shop their last call on remaining 2023 Dodge Challenger and Charger models, including Hellcat, Scat Packs, and more. Dodge is the most powerful muscle car brand, so you don't want to miss out on their last call with over 20 Dodge muscle cars to choose from. At Ray CDJR, you'll always be able to shop one of Chicagoland's largest inventories and drive home with more money in your pocket than you'd expect, thanks to the Ray's Price Promise. Don't miss out. Shop out on great deals all month long and save big because of Ray CDJR makes buying a new vehicle more affordable than ever. And fans can get a free oil change when you mention CHGO at the service center or mention CHGO when you book online at raycdjr.com/service. That's raycdjr.com/service. But you have to schedule before January 31st. If you are in the market for a new vehicle, then you have to check out the team at Ray, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram because they're the only team we recommend. Visit them today on Route 12 in Fox Lake. For more information, visit Ray CDJR in Fox Lake or raycdjr.com. Serving the community since 1963. You brought up the inverted pyramid. Eloy Jimenez, his trade market.
Poof.
Oh,
I thought Sarah was going to insert a crickets sound effect.
Yeah, you filled it in you filled it in earlier.
What trade market? Right? Is that what you wanted me to say?
Right. Yeah.
Wow, it's just sad because the money went up. That's why I tried to trade him last year.
Well, but we should let anybody who doesn't know. Bruce Levine tweeted over the weekend that there just is very little interest in Eloy Jimenez. He did cite, Herb, as you said, the increase in salary, which might make it difficult to trade a guy who obviously has had disappointing results over the last few years, not to mention all of the injury problems that go along with it. Kind of stuck at DH after showing that he wasn't necessarily reliable out in the outfield, regardless of what he might think personally about that, and then, finishing the year as a home run hitter who basically couldn't get the ball in the air. So, that's a lot stacked against interest, and even if there was interest, probably not a lot of interest in giving up anything of significance back to the White Sox.
Yeah, it's very, very sad where his career is gone, but it's not over. He's, 27? He's a young player, new hitting coach in Marcus Timms, so maybe something can be unlocked there. Ball go in the air, it goes far for Eloy Jimenez specifically. So that should be the main focus of Eloy's offseason and in spring training. I'm not trying to be the greatest hitter in the world. I'm trying to be home run Eloy because we've seen regular average Eloy just be running to ground balls all last year. He was a ground ball merchant last year. It was ridiculous. This should be a year where Eloy says, F it. I'm not trying to be go to right field type of guy. I'm not trying to be Frank Thomas. I'm trying to be Cecil Fielder. I'm just trying to hit balls and launch them. And that will be his role because pretty much his career now is distilled down to being a designated hitter. And if you're just getting value from your hitting, might as well be the best hitter you can be. And I think the path that he should take is the path of power instead of the path of being an all-around great hitter.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be great who's teaching him that, though? I mean, again, the biggest issue is just doing it, staying on the field and being consistent. There's times where he looks like the best hitter in Major League Baseball. There was that you wanted to trade him at his peak. Cheap contract after that 2022 year, right?
Yeah.
At the end of 2022. Yeah. He was just hitting everything in sight. In 2021 and 2023, he's had a batter run value of 2.8 and 2.5. In 2022, it was 11.8.
Big old Burv.
Yeah, I don't know. Just
maybe he's a
hit ball in air. I'd love to see it.
Even year guy, because when his best year in
2020.
Yeah, 2020, 2018.
Silver Slugger in 2020.
Okay.
2019 was his rookie year.
Hey.
Oh, okay, so maybe not.
Maybe he'll be tradable again in 2024 after a huge monster 2024 year.
But doesn't he get a nice contract after this too? Like still continues with his stair step of money?
It goes from 13 to 16, and then he's done. So, it's not that bad. I don't know. Anyways, that's going to do it for the CHGO White Sox podcast. We'll be back here tomorrow at 3:30. I want to end with one thing from C. Brebbia. who, if you want to scroll up a little bit, Sarah, shared the fun stat about the beard. Yeah. The beard is a story in itself for John Brebbia. He shaves it on the last day of spring training, and a few days after the season, he'll probably have the full wild look by mid-May. If you look up his career, it is truly the wildest journey to get to Major League Baseball, and Pete Incaviglia, thank you, plays a huge role. Probably best to ask him directly, Vinny. And I may be related by marriage. So thanks for joining us, C. Brebbia, and anyone else who hung around with us. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Make sure that you are subscribing to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. And like Eloy Jimenez, as Alejandro says, like Jim Cooks' jeans, he doesn't fit. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us. That's Vinny Duber. Read his work at allchgo.com. Follow him at Vinny Duber. That's Herb Lawrence. Follow him at Ecknerwall23. I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me at Sean_W_Anderson. Thank you to Sarah for producing the show. Goodbye.
We all silly like the mayor.